Hi everyone, welcome to week 13. We just wrapped up our topic on identity development in adolescence, and I've been able to go through and read through everyone's discussions, and it sounds like this was a pretty interesting topic to everybody. It seems like a lot of you work with adolescents and have some firsthand experience. I know I explained last week in the video that this is a topic that I am really interested in as well. It was part of my dissertation. I myself worked with middle schoolers, and so I was also able to kind of see how identity development kind of happened during this developmental period in children's lives. So some of the things that kind of came up frequently in your guys' discussions. The first one was a lot of you were interested in kind of those two branches of identity. So the ego psychology and then also the self psychology. A lot of you kind of honed in more on the self psychology. And just, enjoy the topic and how it's where we get the concepts of self-esteem and then also self-concept. So a lot of you guys kind of talked in a little bit more detail on those two specific topics. It's really self-psychology. That approach is where the self is formed during childhood, and then it kind of goes through that strengthening, the consolidation, the differentiation in adolescence. So a lot of you thought it was kind of interesting how that sort of developed more in adolescence. A lot of you kind of brought up that discrepancy between the actual self and the ideal self, and how that can kind of be a source of self-esteem issues. And we see that happening a lot in adolescence, where students can kind of struggle with the self-esteem just because of that discrepancy that we see happening. So that was kind of the biggest topic that a lot of you discussed. Another topic that was brought up was the gender differences in identity formation, and how it's a lot more complex for females. And that's just because females tend to kind of engage in more identity reflection, and they do a lot of decision making, like in a relational context. I think that's not too surprising. I think a lot of us can kind of understand that based on what we know about gender differences. Another thing that was brought up, kind of the last main topic that you guys were interested in, was parenting styles and how they can really influence identity in adolescence. And a lot of you, weren't surprised that parenting would play a role, but you guys kind of were interested in the different parenting styles and how they specifically impacted kind of that identity development in adolescence. So, for example, that authoritative parenting style, how it a lot of times, children are really encouraged to discuss their opinions, and the parents will take into consideration kind of all the angles of the story before they decide a punishment that is, reasonable and consistent. So that is clearly, the best parenting style when helping students with their identity development, as opposed to like permissive parenting, where the parents, focus more on the child's happiness and freedom over actual obedience and self-regulation, and that can really impact their coping skills. And just their ability to self-regulate, and can cause more impulsive behaviors. So, those were kind of the things that I saw pop up in your discussions. So great job this week, or last week. This week, we're going to be discussing stage environment fit. So you guys are going to be able to identify the relationship and interaction between school environment, academic achievement, and development during adolescence. You're going to be able to evaluate the impact of different goal structures on motivation and academic achievement. So really looking kind of at that concept of motivation, which I think you guys will find really interesting. You're going to also be able to identify implications for practice using goal theory. So, and again, I think you guys will really find this goal theory very interesting and how it relates to student motivation. And then, as you guys have been doing every week, you're going to be able to research and evaluate school reform interventions. So looking at different interventions and how we can really improve our schools based on this information that we have. So again, just make sure you get that initial discussion post submitted Thursday by midnight this week. And then you want to respond to at least one peer by Saturday by midnight. Make sure you get your quiz done Sunday by midnight, and then we are going to start working on our final. So it is going to be just like the midterm. What I want you guys to do is, if you were the child caregiver team, you are going to switch and you're going to be on the teacher school psychologist team and vice versa, so you can participate in a different role for your final. And those of you who are going to be in the child caregiver team, I just want you to send me your guys' case by this Friday. That can just be through email, and I will just take a look at it and provide you any feedback because you are going to be filling out that chart. And then you're going to be providing that same case to the opposing team by the following Friday. So April 24th, you're going to be providing them that case. Remember, you do not want to give them your chart. That's for you guys to fill out and to turn into me. But you want to provide them with kind of that case conceptualization so that the opposing team can try to figure out the case. So just make sure, child caregiver team, send me your cases by this Friday. That's April 17th. So that I can get you your feedback in time so that you can send that case over to the opposing team by the following Friday, April 24th. Hope you guys enjoy this week. Hope that you guys are staying safe. And I'm looking forward to starting your guys' finals and kind of seeing what you guys put together.